Welcome, Army fans. This is Joe Iacono with GoBlackKnights.com, along with the recap of the Army 31-13 victory over UAB today here at Protective Field in Birmingham, Alabama. Good win for Army from start to finish. Started a little slow, but not 21-0 losing slow like they have the last couple weeks. And I think that gave them an advantage going into halftime, and then they turned it on in the second half for sure. UAB gets the opening kick, comes down. They're in field goal range, relatively makeable field goal, and Jack Bosom comes up with a big block. So turns it over there. The offense gets the ball, and for the first time all season, reminiscent of 2024, Dwayne Coleman starts off with the offense, drives them down the field. Typical Army drive, 18 plays, over 10 minutes time of possession, actually went into the second quarter before they scored. And Hayden Reed plunged in on a 3-yard run. It was a 10-minute, 34-second drive to give Army a 7-0 lead there. So Army gets off to a nice start and puts together a typical Army drive to start the game. Next drive, UAB goes 3 and out after a holding penalty kind of cost them. There were a lot of penalties today on both sides of the ball. As I look at penalty yardage here, let's see. Yeah, I don't have a total, but both teams committed a lot of penalties, holding a lot of false starts, way too many false starts for both Army, but UAB gave a bunch back as well, so that didn't hurt. Then we hold UAB to a punt. Army muffs it. The kid should have called for a fair catch, but he didn't. Then the refs almost made the most atrocious call I've ever seen a ref make in a college football game, where they were about to award the muffed punt to UAB when there was no UAB player in the area, and Army clearly covered it. So I have no idea what they were looking at. The only thing maybe worse than the quality of play in this game was the officiating. It was completely atrocious. Let's see. So then Army puts Cale Helms in at quarterback. And for those of you wondering, it was part of the game plan all along to play both quarterbacks and not make a change just for the sake of a change. But since the offense was struggling a little bit under Dwayne after the first drive, they made the decision to put Cale in, and Cale moved the ball pretty well. We had another self-inflicted wound, got called for a chop block, and that stalled that drive. Then we have a 3rd and long for UAB, and they hit one of their only big plays of the game, a 49-yard pass. And they go in and score on a 1-yard TD pass, play action RPO by Kitna to the receiver. And then Cale Helms comes back. Coach Munkin had used most of his timeouts, but he still had one left. And we get the ball back with like a minute 20 left. Helms drives the ball right down the field, places it in the middle of the field. We're able to get a first down, stop the clock at the 28 or 29-yard line with 4 seconds left. And Dawson Jones bangs through a 45-yard field goal to give Army a 10-7 lead heading into halftime. Whatever kicking woes Dawson Jones had in week 1 against Tarleton, he seems to have gotten figured out with 2 really important kicks the last couple weeks against Kansas State, and today, after not even getting in the game against East Carolina, makes that key field goal and made all of his extra points. So Army's up 10-7 at halftime. Army had 144 rushing yards in 18 minutes and 50 seconds time of possession in the first half. So the offense ran exactly the way it's supposed to run. Army did not turn the ball over today. Only had 1 turnover on downs. So the offense ran really effectively, more effectively under Helms than Coleman, in my opinion, but we'll get to that at the end when I get into my analysis. Let's see. Then UAB or Army goes. Dwayne Coleman starts the second half. Army goes 3 and out. UAB comes back. They're moving the ball, and then for the second time in the game they missed. Well, the first field goal was blocked. This time they miss it wide right, which is a shocker. And those were kind of both momentum killers for UAB. Up till that point in the game was relatively close and definitely still in doubt. And I feel like after that it kind of took the wind out of UAB's sails a little bit. So then Cale Helms comes in. They need a big play, and he gets off a 41-yard pass to Samari Howard. Samari walked us through that play in a post-conference presser. They ran Noah Short in motion, so of course the defense followed Short. We faked the reverse and ran a post wheel route. And Coach Munkin said both defensive backs covered the post, and they left the wheel wide open, which was Samari. So Samari caught it pretty much in stride, hurdled a guy for a big 41-yard gain that really kind of jump-started the Army offense in the second half. Cale Helms finished that drive with a 5-yard run. We noticed the offensive line was starting to dominate and starting to take over. Brady Small had a really good game. I'd be really curious to see where he grades out for PFF. Brady, the guards, I thought, and Generelli and Jeff Cope both had really good games as well. My voice is kind of shot. I apologize. Let's see. Then we kicked the ball off. Jake Lindsey knocks it loose on the kick return, and Todd Britton recovers it. We get the ball at their 28, and then we go 3 and out, which is really unfortunate there. We really needed a score there to open it up even more. It was 17-7 at the time. On 4th down and 3, they initially had the field goal team on, and they called them off, rethought it, decided to basically run a play action fake. And with a quarterback dive there, Helms got flushed out of the pocket, and we couldn't complete the pass. But then I think on the first or second play from scrimmage for UAB, Gavin Shields creates a really nice interception. We had the fumble recovery and the interception in the game. So 2 turnovers, won the turnover battle 2-0, always important. Probably should have been 5 or 6-0. Casey Larkin had a couple in his hands that he dropped, normally reliable. Gavin Shields dropped an interception. So there were opportunities out there for probably at least 4 interceptions. We ended up coming down with 1. So Army goes down 1st and goal. Starting the 4th quarter, Cale Helms sneaks it in to make it 24-7 and effectively put the game out of reach at that point in time. Then Army stopped a 4th down in the red zone. Another nice pass breakup by Gavin Shields. Gavin Shields is my defensive MVP for the game. Let's see. Then another self-inflicted wound penalty on Army, but Noah Short makes another nice pickup. I said this to some of the guys in the booth when I was sitting there. Every time Noah Short touches the ball, good things happen. I'll go through stats a little later, but we just got to keep getting the ball to Noah Short. That guy is fast. He's dangerous. He's tough to stop. And what goes unnoticed by a lot of people is he's a really good blocker, too. He's definitely Army's offensive MVP for the season. Best playmaker on the team, and I'm not sure it's even close. Carson Smith had some nice runs as the offensive line started to take over, and then Cale Helms had a 5-yard TD run to make it 31-7 and completely put the game out of reach. UAB scored a touchdown in garbage time with their second team against Army's second team defense to make it 31-13, and then their onside kick failed. Let's see if I have any other key comments from Coach Munkin from the presser. He said that in addition to the first drive of the game where they took 10 minutes off the clock and it was a classic Army drive, he said the last drive of the first half was really key too, to get that in the field goal range, and that Cale Helms did a really nice job managing that drive and getting it down there. Let's see. We were able to center the ball. Talked about the chunk play, the pass play to Samari and the importance of that, and how big that was. And then the turnovers, of course. In both games Army has won this year, they have not turned the ball over. So there's probably something to that. As you look at it as we go down towards through the season here. So where does that leave us now? Let's go through some stats. Key stats: Army was 4 of 4 in the red zone with 4 touchdowns. That's really important. 3 of 4 on 4th down. 1 was on their scoring drive. Dwayne Coleman, the opening scoring drive of the game. It called for a measurement. Immediately they wanted to award it to UAB. Another crazy call by the officials. Thankfully, they called for a measurement, got it straightened out. Coleman got the first down. And then the drive continued and they scored. And the officiating wasn't just bad against Army. It was bad against UAB too. It was just bad officiating in general. So let's see. Time of possession for the game, Army ended up with 36-41, which is really good. Did a defense did a really good job keeping Jalen Kitten off balance. I felt like they did pressure him a little. First time all year we've seen some pressure. Nate Woody brought more blitzes than usual. He blitzed Shields, he blitzed Seawright, he blitzed Fortner a lot. So that was nice to see to get Kitten off balance a little bit. He was missing open guys all game, so that certainly helped Army as well. There were open receivers that were being missed pretty consistently. So when you look at it, Army rushes for 247 on 61 carries, so 4 yards a rush. Not our greatest rushing game, but good enough to win for sure. Threw the ball, when we needed to. Two big completions to Samari Howard for 48 yards. Shout out to James Wagonseller, the punter. He is doing a very nice job, in my opinion. His average per punt was 42.8 yards per punt, and he had a nice punt down towards the end zone that we should have downed, in my opinion, down there that ended up going into the end zone. Dawson Jones does a good job. So special teams played better. Kick coverage is still a little shaky, in my opinion, but special teams as a whole played much better. Anderson Britton getting that big turnover there. So shout out to Anderson. Great job there. Let's see what else. Yeah, in terms of what they were able to do to UAB's offense, UAB on third down, which is always an important stat, Army's ability to get off the field on third down, 6 for 14 and 2 of 4 on fourth down. So really good job there shutting that down. As far as individual stats, I thought Carson Smith had a nice game. I thought Hayden Reed had his best game. When the offensive line's clicking, you'll notice the fullbacks do better. And when the fullbacks do better, Army's offense tends to do better. The whole weight of the game wasn't on Helms and Coleman's shoulders. Although the coaches do seem to like to run Helms when he's in there. I think he reminds them of like a Bryson Daly light a little bit. And so they try and get Helms the ball and let him run it up in there a lot, which is okay. Stat wise, individually, let's see, I have this stuff. There we go. So, that is, I got this. Okay, here's that packet. Thank you. All right. So Helms was the leading rusher actually with 21 carries for 81 yards and 3 touchdowns, which is a big deal. 3.9 average. Hayden Reed, like I said, had probably his best game, 12 carries for 54 yards, 4.5 average, and a touchdown. Noah Short, when Noah Short touches the ball, good things happen. 7 carries for 54 yards, a 7.7 yards per carry average, and Carson Smith, 6 carries for 29 yards with 4.8 yards per carry average. Defensively, I think our leading tackler was Colin Madison. I'm not finding it, but I believe that's accurate. And then Thomas also had a bunch of tackles. Anyway, let's get into analysis. So Army started slow, but this time the slow start led to a 10-7 halftime lead. We'll take that all day long versus being down 21-0 like the last 2 weeks. Army gets a lead early. It gives them a chance to win every single time. They win the turnover battle 2-0. Gives them a chance to win every single time. Offense looked better. I understand it was against UAB. I understand UAB's run defense has struggled, but the offensive line clearly had their best game. I saw Brady Small just pushing guys back all day long, dominating guys as well as the 2 guards. So that's a good sign. The fullbacks had more carries. That's a good sign. So I think, while there was a slow start, while clearly the quality of the opponent is what it is, it still was Army's best game, clearly by far. And The final score, 31-13, showed their dominance. It's going to be interesting, the quarterback battle going forward. Coach Monken said he's going to go back and look at the film. I think you're going to see something different every week, potentially. You may see two quarterbacks, which is okay just because neither one of them super asserted themselves and it keeps the other team guessing. But you may see Cale Helms going forward. He seems to have the hot hand until he does something like he did against North Texas, where he turned it over 3 times in one quarter. So my personal opinion, you guys can certainly feel free to disagree with me. It's just an opinion. The offense runs better with Helms in. He's way better in short yardage. He's a much tougher runner inside, which is what Army needs to play Army football and move the ball down the field. Coleman may be a little faster in the open field. Maybe not. Coleman may be a little better passer, but I feel like, we now have evidence of 2 games, the Kansas State game where Helms went start to finish, and this game where Helms did most of the scoring. The offense runs better with Cale Helms at the helm, in my opinion. We'll see how things go going forward. Nobody's saying he's the second coming of Bryson Daly, but the offense does seem to run better with Helms at quarterback. Defensively, defense has taken a lot of heat, and rightfully so. They still gave up like 5 yards a carry today. The run defense just has to get better. But the front 3 are struggling to get off blocks, to say the least. So the linebackers kind of, have to play outside themselves a little bit to make up for that sometimes. So run defense has to get better. They have to capitalize on poor passes and get more turnovers. But if you look, since the first quarter of the East Carolina game, the defense has only given up 1 touchdown. So that's 7 straight quarters with only 1 touchdown surrender. So while it's not pretty, the defense is playing better. We can say that. So, where do we go from here? What's the rest of the season look like? We're 2-3, certainly not where we wanted to be. I think, the North Texas game and the Tarleton game are still driving me crazy. I mean, this team could be 5-1 right now, like staring down bowl eligibility and staring down a shot to win the American Conference again. But they're not. They're 2-3. And next week we host Charlotte at Mikey. If they play well, nothing's automatic with this team, but if they play well, that's another win. So they're 3-3. And then they go to Tulane, which is probably going to be the toughest game of the season at Tulane. I don't see that going well. But that being said, Army can still get to 6 wins. Air Force lost a close one today to Navy, 34-31. So Air Force looks like they found an offense, and with Army's run defense, that doesn't look great for us, but rivalry game, you never know. We'll have to see where things go at that point in the season, right? We all thought Air Force was going to whip us in 2023 when we went into that game 2-6, and they were whatever they were, I think undefeated at the time. And we beat them. Was it 21-0 or 20? We smoked them 21-3 maybe. So you never know. It's a rivalry game. This was a win Army had to have, and I'm glad they got it. And I'm glad they got it really at the end of the day, even though it was close for the whole first half, in pretty dominating fashion, 31-13, and really just owned UAB in the second half. So, I think bowl eligibility is still on the table for this team. Clearly, the Commander-in-Chief trophy is still on the table, although Navy and Air Force both look like really tough outs at this point. But we'll see what happens. So, once again, Army 31 today, UAB 13. Good win. Like I said, my MVPs, I got Gavin Shields on defense, and then you got to go with Cale Helms on offense. Although, if I could give it to a center, Brady Small, I really want to see his PFF score, but he just dominated the guy across from him. So, anyway, thanks, Army fans. We'll be coming at you throughout the week with interviews with the players, the coaches, and we will see you next week at Charlotte. Go Army, beat Charlotte, and beat Navy.